Brett. Thank you. Perfect. All right. So on deck, we have Lila Shoemaker, our product marketing manager. Ross. Oh, Ross, if I say your last name wrong, I promise it's not on purpose. Jesue.
Jesso.
I took a swing and I missed, but that's okay. Our senior account executive here for Klaus, we have Carlos Folgar, senior product marketing manager. Victoria Petorita. I'm so sorry that I did that to your last name. It's a lot more beautiful sounding than I just said it. We also have Nicholas Johnson. I got that one right. And Drew Fry from the community, our senior community marketing manager from the community team. All right, so let's go on to our next slide.
And we can go ahead and dig into WFM. So I'm Lilith. I'm a PMM here at Zendesk. I actually joined Zendesk from the Tymeshift team. And for years, Zendesk customers have been asking for help with things like scheduling agents, predicting future workloads, and reporting on capacity and performance for their teams. And folks were really struggling to gain certain insights like agent staffing needs, and they were relying on things like spreadsheets and time-consuming processes that really interrupted the day-to-day flow, just dealing with these basic managerial tasks. And luckily for us, there are tools that can help us with these workforce management, or WFM, as you'll hear us say, challenges, and processes that teams face. So WFM includes effective forecasting, staffing, scheduling, and real-time adjustments required for organizations to be as efficient as possible. So the objective with WFM is to get the right number of agents with the right skills in the right place. So talking about the right numbers, the right types of calls, where they're at. They need to be there at the right time. So that's where Zendesk WFM, formerly Tymeshifts, you may hear us use kind of both terms today, comes into play as the fastest and easiest way to manage agents in Zendesk. With AI-powered demand forecasting using your own Zendesk data, it automatically schedules your agents, including both time and focus area, which is very important. And it provides real-time and historical reporting for teams, which is huge, especially if we're doing it manually on spreadsheets. We have a tool that can help you with that. So Zendesk WFM is truly the only WFM platform for Zendesk that you can spin up and that is native to Zendesk, which means customers can turn it on and start using it immediately, which is another big thing that we all care about. So customers have seen a huge impact using Zendesk WFM, including reduction in overtime costs by up to 80%, improving team schedule adherence by up to 35%, cutting scheduling and forecasting time by 70%, which if you're in WFM, that's a bit life-changing, I would say, and increasing team productivity by up to 18%. Now, I know that everyone prefers to see Zendesk tools in action, so I'm going to pause here and hand it off to Victoria to show you what I'm talking about.
Well, let's start from history, right? So what Tymeshift does is it looks back at your ticket volume, understands the amount of tickets that you've received for a given work stream, and then will forecast for what you're going to receive in the next year. You could look at it in a bunch of different intervals, daily, weekly, monthly, to have a good idea of what's happening throughout the day. Now, not only we're giving you the number of tickets that you're going to receive, but also the number of agents that you're going to need in order to cover the SLAs that you need for each channel, okay? So we're looking at a specific average handle time, for example, for my tier 1 team. How do we calculate this, and how do we have the right amount of people in each intraday? So Tymeshift is going to do that in the background for you based on AI as well. Okay, so we're automatically looking at a specific algorithm that matches your data best to give you that calculation. Although you can go ahead and select your own algorithm as you wish. Now, from that data, we then go ahead and recommend schedules in the most optimized way to make sure that you have the coverage that you need throughout the day. So where lunches and breaks should go, where your meetings should be, where your agents should be focusing on throughout the day, all of this would be here. This is the finished product. Of course, there's some rules that you have to set in the background, but this is what you'd be looking at on a day-to-day basis. Now, we're also letting you know what your agents are doing throughout the day and how efficient they're being. This is mostly a supervisor view where you can follow from the time that the agent clocks in to the time that the agent clocks out, exactly what is it that they're doing. And it also allows you to go in and perhaps jump into a ticket if an agent is struggling with it. So let's say Tiago here has been spending too much time on this ticket. Maybe me as a supervisor, I'll be able to help, maybe share an article, ask them to escalate it, and so on. Follow the adherence towards the schedule, against the schedule, actually, to make sure that we are having the coverage that we need throughout the day. Here we're looking at by agent, but obviously we do have the possibility of having a more operational view to follow how we're doing against certain metrics, such as first response time, if we're receiving more tickets than we're supposed to, and if so, we can then make changes to the schedule. And of course, all of that information is available through a historic report as well, where you can see the details of an agent's day or of a team's day and see how they're acting towards certain types of tickets and how efficient they're being.
Search engine almost of all of your tickets, and some of the companies we're working with, they have like thousands up towards 10,000 agents in here, so you can imagine how many tickets they're talking about. So then it's not really about, oh, we can do 1% of tickets in Klaus. That's not really what it's about. It's about doing the right tickets. That's very, very, very important. So that's the first leg of our AI, to help you find the right tickets to review. Because if you review the wrong tickets, then nothing else matters and everything else is going to be a waste of time. And I want you to imagine now, to understand like a little bit like the logic here, why we do this is, imagine that you're a burglar, right? And either you're very, very experienced as a burglar, you know how to do this, you've broken into 100 houses, you know exactly where the valuables are, okay? Which then means as a QA lead or QA person, you know what you're looking for, right? If you know what you're looking for, Klaus is easy. You can just find the filters here that you're looking for. So you can go very specific. For example, I want to look at churn risk. Out of all my tickets, please, Klaus, just show me the ones with a churn risk. And you can see here, those would be 128 tickets. You can then, for example, combine that with a sentiment. I want to see the churn risks with a negative sentiment, right? And on top of that, I want to see, for example, if there was any dead air in the conversation. But you see, you can go super, super narrow if you know what you're looking for. This is almost mind sweeping, right? And all these rainbow crystal balls, in a lack of a better word or better name for it, these are AI powered, obviously, because we can look through thousands and thousands of tickets in seconds and find all the ones with the churn risk. Okay. And if I click create filter now, I would see those tickets and be ready to review. Now let's go back to the burglar story. If you are not an experienced burglar, if you're just setting up your QA program, which is a lot of our customers, they're coming from spreadsheets and this is all new to them, they have no clue what they're looking for. Then a really, really good one we built for them, which is what completely sets Klaus apart, because this was the first AI filter that we built. It's called Outlier. All you have to do here is click this button and we will find the tickets for you that you should review. The complex ones, the ones that are different than the ordinary ticket. If you review these tickets and these tickets alone, you're quite set. Then you will cover the important tickets for your agents and for your team. And then we can do that. We can create filter. Now, the last thing I'm going to say, because this is where I want to focus, this is so hugely important to make sure that you share, that you look at the right tickets. And that's also where we put our AI efforts, right? The second thing I'm just going to leave as a teaser for now is that once you have these tickets set up, see, this is your queue now of 175 tickets. This is the ticket. Now we can also do that ticket for you. We can review it for you here in terms of these categories. And this is what I said in 100% coverage. We do it for you, right? You as the human here can override it. So you can say if it's good or bad. That goes into the acceptance rate. But then here we can detect empathy, etc. And we do say 90, 95, 99% of the work for you. And then you as a human come in here, write a comment, put your human eyes on it, and then finish the review. I think for now, Devon, I am out of time, so I'm not going to go further. There's a lot more to it, but I wanted to just really focus on the first 2 steps of where our AI comes to play and the importance of finding the right tickets and how quickly we can then do those tickets for you.
I mean, this just means we have to do like a whole event on Klaus at some point in the future. So that's going to have to happen at some point. This was great, though. Thank you so much, Nicholas, for sharing with us some really cool stuff that Klaus can do. I will need you, though, to stop sharing. You already did it. This is great.
That's Tymeshift in a nutshell for you.
Thanks, Victoria. That's great. And by the way, I know that we've had people ask us in the past, will you have just recordings of our demos? Yes, we will. There'll be little clips that we'll snap up for you as well, and that will be sent to you after this event. So don't worry. Also, you might not realize this because you might not see the notification, but we are answering questions right now live in the Q&A chat. So your question might already be answered. So do please check that if you're sitting in normal chat. We don't want you to miss an answer to a question. For example, Felipe, we just addressed yours. Manavi, we addressed yours. And Izzy, we just got an answer to you as well. Brett, if you could go ahead, though, and get that deck back up here so we can get to the Q&A part of our event, I would really appreciate it. All right. One more slide. All right. So, Carlos, I believe you were going to talk about this and how workforce management and Q&A can kind of handshake and synergize and all those other fun words that we like to say here at Zendesk.
Absolutely. Workforce management and quality assurance really work seamlessly together. Many of you may have heard maybe together they're called workforce optimization or workforce engagement management once you're using multiple of these solutions. We're confident that embracing Zendesk WFM and QA solutions, it's a strategic move that can really revolutionize how companies approach their service operations. You can analyze, from WFM, let's just start at the forecasting part, for example. We can analyze what happened in the past to gain a forecast of what's to come. Use that to make a plan for the future. The plan that gets executed via the scheduling and allocation of agents over a specified period of time. Then you got your intraday management. It involves monitoring real-time agent activity, live metrics via dashboards, and adjustments to schedules and resource allocation, as managers deem fit. Then there's performance management that looks back on the plan you executed. Did we get as much work done as we targeted? Did agents actually work on what we planned to have them work on? That's really important. And when you plan well, you can save money by being more efficient. You can contribute to timely customer service. That often improves CX. So you retain revenue by pleasing customers and earn more revenue by gaining customer loyalty. With better agent experience too, you can improve employee retention. We understand agent work is very hard and it can be very challenging for agents. So really providing them that tools, the guidance and the clarity on the day-to-day really can help retain agents, which saves teams money. And then we come into a QA where you score and analyze the quality of the work delivered. It's great to deliver support on time, that workforce management helps with, but you have to make sure what you're doing is the right thing or that it's done well. QA and scoring and analytics over all of the conversations throughout Zendesk really helps that. And then it leads to insights that allow you to coach and train your agents. Sometimes things don't go according to plan, and you need to know where and how to improve. Sometimes you face issues with quality and you have to train agents on that. Sometimes you have issues with performance where you thought you could serve your customers based on being able to handle work, let's say with a certain level of efficiency. For example, you thought it'd take X minutes per interaction, but you see the average was higher. This is where you can take learnings and you coach and train your agents and your operations to improve. So they really work seamlessly together as you can maybe close or restart the loop here. So new learnings from a cycle get implemented into the new cycle of forecasting and planning. And so you're really constantly improving your operations. So investing in these robust WFM and QA solutions, we believe is crucial for achieving customer service excellence now and in the future.
Christine asks, does Tymeshift and Klaus ensure that agents and staff only have access to their own tickets and data with regards to working with multiple external service providers? This one we really wanted to touch on first because we do realize that, you know, security and privacy, it's paramount for everybody working in the service or the customer service industry. So Lilith, why don't you go ahead and start us off, and then Nicholas, you can jump in after.
Yeah, definitely. So this is a concern for a lot of folks. We totally understand. And the good news with WFM is that it's not pulling the content of your ticket into the tool itself. We are tracking what's happening with our agents on the ticket, but that content is not being pulled in. And we also have some new permissioning options that are going to come out soon that allow us to kind of get more specific with the folks that work with external service providers. So good news on that front.
Perfect. And Nicholas, do you have anything to add on that question as well?
It's a very common question and a common use case, especially for larger companies using a lot of different BPOs. It's very, very important that they don't share data between them, or that, you know, one BPO can look at another, or agents can see each other's information or tickets or scores or anything. So obviously that's easily managed with different roles and permission within Klaus.
Perfect. All right. Thank you so much. Let's go to the next question. This one's for Carlos. Nicholas, you're not off the hook yet. And this one is from Wilson. Wilson asks, how does the AI functionality work for Tymeshift and Klaus? A lot of people were curious on AI.
Yeah, I'll start with Tymeshift first. AI is primarily featured in the forecasting environment within Tymeshift, how it learns from your previous historical Zendesk activity and how it improves over time with understanding your future volume, your required staffing. And we even provide multiple different algorithms in the forecasting process, because some, for example, are maybe a little bit more tailored for short-term planning versus others are for long-term planning. So we've heard from customers over the years that having those different options of that AI intelligence and specialties and specialization is really valuable. And then from Klaus, you know, first of all, AI is extremely powerful in providing that automated 100% coverage. Whereas traditionally in QA tools, you know, it's a very manual process. You're only covering a small percentage. So that help from the AI is extremely powerful. But then in addition, I think as Nicholas alluded to earlier and showed earlier, the Spotlight tool within Klaus really helps you identify the key conversations that you need to manually review, that you should review as a manager. Which are the high churn risks, for example? Which are the areas where customers are showing really maybe more of a negative sentiment? What are the ones that need your attention? So that way you get full coverage and vision over all of your operations, and then you can spend your time on what matters most. And Nicholas, please add any other items.
No, absolutely. You covered it really well. Also, which I didn't have time to go into that much, the 100% coverage is really, really cool. Like where we actually do the reviews for you. And I think currently in 14 or 15 different categories, and they work in many different languages as well. And it's also something that we're developing and shooting on new categories every week almost.
Awesome. Thanks, both Carlos and Nicholas. Carlos, you're up next, actually, on this next question as well. This one's from Heather. Thank you so much, Heather, for this great question. And she asks, does AI have to be part of Klaus or Tymeshift? And if so, how is security concerned, especially in regards to approval and implementation? Again, thank you so much, Heather, for this question. Carlos, any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, in order to, you know, provide a lot of the power that, for example, we just talked about forecasting, Forecasting is being powered by AI it makes it more accurate. It makes it more automated. That is the value of these solutions. Folks historically have been using spreadsheets to do forecasting. That's extremely manual. It's extremely time consuming, complex. It's prone to errors. And that's the value of implementing, and leveraging some of these new technologies that we have out there, which, that's the value for organizations of cost savings and time saving, and you're just improving the operations. So we understand that, and that's why we're implementing that in our solutions. And the same with Klaus. Again, we were just talking about of manual QA is extremely time consuming. It's not functional. It's challenging when you're only able to review 2-3% of your, thousands or even more tickets and conversations. So this new technology is extremely valuable. It is powerful. And I guess we all acknowledge that. So to the security concern, Zendesk, we welcome you to visit our security website, our web pages to learn more. But, we take this very seriously. We follow, plenty of legal guidelines. We're working with extremely, reliable partners and, top of the industry partners when it comes to AI. And we're very conscientious about these areas. So we understand these maybe there might be some concerns, but we welcome you to come visit again the website. I think you can learn a lot more about our AI and our AI policies. And if you have any other questions, you can always really reach out to your Zendesk support team. We're happy to chat more.
Lisa, by the way, I don't know if that was your question in the first, but if you did miss any question in the Q&A chat or during our presentation, no worries. We will go ahead and share the recording of this event with everybody who's in attendance here or who registered. So we will get that answer to you, Lisa, as soon as we can after the event. Carlos, thank you so much for that answer. Heather, thank you so much for this great question. Let's go on to the next one. And this one's for you, Victoria, from Carla. And Carla asks, will Tymeshift ever integrate with Explore for reporting? A lot of you are curious on Explore, and we want to go ahead and talk about that now.
No, that's a great question. So I guess the short answer to this would be we do want to do it in the future, and we're studying the possibilities of how we can do it best. So it isn't a roadmap. It's not something that we're going to be doing this year yet, but it is coming soon. So there's more that we can share as well from Relate onwards.
Awesome. Thanks, Victoria. Let's move on to the next question. And this one, again, is for you, Victoria, from Aaron. And Aaron asks, how can my leads use Tymeshift to understand daily accountability?
Also a great question. I will refer back to the demo piece. I know that it was quite a short demo, but not sure if you folks remember, there is a piece on agent activity where we can compare the agent's day to the actual schedule that they were supposed to be doing throughout the day. So supervisors could have the view of that, not only the percentage of how much they're adhering throughout the day, but also see a real-time view of who's out of adherence, who's in adherence, and so on, just to make sure that we're following what's been planned.
Perfect. Thank you, Victoria. Let's go on and move to the next question. This one's for Carlos and Nicholas again. And this one comes from James. James asks, when will reports from Tymeshift and Klaus be available in Zendesk Explore?
Yeah, I think we just that was just asked. Yeah, it's definitely on our roadmap. We understand the huge value, and so we definitely look forward to implementing and integrating them as soon as possible. A lot of these Klaus is very new to Zendesk. We just combined forces last month, so we can understand it. It'll take a little time, but in the meantime, data is certainly exportable via CSV and APIs. And so teams and current customers that use both solutions are already gaining plenty of value by operating the data, and within exporting and then maybe importing back into Explore. But please stay tuned. We definitely plan to integrate them. That is absolutely top of mind for us.
Thank you, Carlos. Let's go ahead and move on to our next question. This one's for you, Lilith. When will Tymeshift release their newest updates? Yeah, roadmap. Can we talk about that?
So I'm gonna defer just a little bit and say that, you know, I hear exciting things tend to happen at Relate. This is gonna be my first Relate, so we'll see how it goes. No promises, but I would recommend keeping an eye out for anything that might be coming next month.
I'd like to just add, just because, I mean, we just shared a couple weeks ago, but in our Q1, what's new, in case maybe y'all had missed it, we did have a pretty big release from some Tymeshift capabilities in February. So I'd like to quickly review those actually for folks that maybe had missed that or maybe weren't aware of it. But just 4 or 5 quick items. You know, first of all, we released some new forecasting algorithms. I think I touched upon that earlier, that provide a lot more options for your forecasting. You know, we unleashed, you know, a lot of operational efficiencies for scheduling teams, like bulk scheduling and editing, really helping teams with larger and complex operations. So from the scheduling side, we know you don't want to edit or delete one at a time. You need to do bulk operations, bulk scheduling, bulk edits. So we released plenty of capabilities to improve that for managers. We also released back office activity tracking. That was huge. We know agents work in tools outside of Zendesk, maybe even like Monitor, your help center, but also other internal business tools that you use. We can track that activity outside of Zendesk. So you get a full view of what your agents are doing and how they're spending their time, even outside of Zendesk. That's super powerful. We also released some new public APIs so you can connect your WFM data into other business systems. Let's say maybe your HR platforms, financial platforms, you know, really help you grasp total labor costs, maximize efficiency, you know, trigger workflows in your HR solution. So connecting a lot of that agent schedule and activity, your time off activity from Tymeshift is extremely powerful. So really powerful APIs there. And then we also ramped up the language capabilities within Tymeshift. Previously, it was only supporting 4 languages. And just in February's release, it is now able to support 30 plus languages, giving teams around the globe, you know, more options to choose the language that suits them best. And as Lilith said, please stay tuned. At Relate, we got a lot more announcing.
Thanks, Carlos. Also, real quick, I do want to tie back to Lisa's original question. Sorry for the confusion. We did reply to your first question and your second question, so you're going to see 2 answers there. Sorry that we accidentally marked your question as already answered. That was a misclick on our part, but you can find replies to both your questions in your second question. Thank you, Carlos and Lilith, for jumping in on that last one, but let's go ahead and move on to the next question. And this is for you, Victoria. Changing Tymeshift statuses should be easier and should be able to integrate with statuses, Microsoft Teams, or when a computer is locked. Any plans for this to happen?
That's a great question. I guess for everyone's context to how this works today, Tymeshift is going to be within Zendesk, right? So we automatically understand work within Zendesk, ticket work, chats, phone calls, emails coming in, whatever the agent is doing within Zendesk, that's looked at automatically. Now, for status change, when we're looking at chats, phones, messaging as well, we should be soon also integrating with the unified agent status in Zendesk. That's something that's already early access. So some of you folks might be able to test it already to make sure that there's just one place for an agent to switch their status. Now, when it comes to, for example, going to different systems, we also recently developed a Chrome extension that will be URL based. So let's say, for example, an agent goes into a billing system that's outside of Zendesk. We will automatically understand that based on the URL and track that time as well automatically. That's some context for you. When it comes to Microsoft Teams or to when a computer is locked, that's something that we should definitely, we'll definitely send over to our product team. And whatever feedback that we get, we'll share it with you directly, Pascal. I'm afraid I don't have the full answer to the Microsoft Teams bit.
Thank you, Victoria. And on the Microsoft Teams thing, yeah, I did look into this ahead of time. I didn't see anything that we can announce right now, but if this is or there are any product limitations you are running into with any of our products, we do strongly recommend you let us know, especially in the forums and our feedback forums in the community. I know it might seem like sometimes you're posting and you don't know if anyone's going to read it. Every post you make in the community, human eyes look at it. I promise you, I am one of those human eyes. So is Brett. So is Drew here. It might take us some time to get a response on your feedback, but this is the kind of feedback we desperately want to see, so that way we can pass it along to our product team who want to build exactly what you want. So again, Pascal, thank you for this question. And again, for the Microsoft Teams aspect, if it's not in the forums already, we'll pass it along, but we do stress that you do post feedback in the community because we do want to see it. Next question, please, Brett. Great, and this is for Carlos, Nicholas. Now, Nicholas had to step out, so Victoria, you're going to step in, and Ross, feel free to chime in as well. And by the way, Nicholas, thank you for joining us for our Q&A today. But Chris's question is, how can I make the most out of both Klaus and Tymeshift working alongside each other?
I would just for start, I think looking back at, I think kind of that cycle, that combined seamless cycle that we talked about earlier is extremely powerful. You saw the components of WFM, how they work together. You saw the components of QA and how they work together, but how combined you're gaining learnings from each of them to feed the other. QA is going to be analyzing all of your conversations that are, managed by your teams that are, function and operated by WFM. But all the learnings you're getting from the QA solution can then be implemented into coaching and training, which then can feed into your forecasting. Do you have to maybe can you bring in less agents? Can you allocate your agents differently based on the QA analytics, based on the coaching and training carried out through Klaus tools? And then, so they really work together combined. It's just extremely powerful and really help teams can constantly improve their CX operations.
Perfect, Carlos.
And I'll just add too, it's certainly on our roadmap to deeply integrate the two. So I know that today, we're just combining forces, but you can really soon in the future see like they'll directly be talking to each other. Expect deep integrations of both solutions into your Zendesk platform, into side apps for agents, and they will be cohesive in the near future. So you can definitely expect that as a result of this combination.
Awesome. Just to confirm, Victoria, anything to add on that? If not, that's all right. I see the shaking the head.
Carlos hit the point.
No problem. Let's go ahead and move on to our next question then. Again, thank you, Carlos, for that answer. This next question is Danielle. And Danielle asks, how does Klaus stand out amongst other QA tools? Carlos, Ross, any thoughts?
Yeah, I can jump in here. So I think when you look at the QA industry as a whole, it was really focused on manual QA. Klaus was born about 5 years ago, and when our founders really took a look at the industry, they felt AI was something not being leveraged. So really the short and sweet answer is, from an AI standpoint, we are the AI innovator in the space, and we kind of have AI deployed across the technology. So there isn't just one specific use case of AI, because we have our own managed AI that we build and manage. We're able to kind of use it in a whole bunch of different use cases across the platform. Carlos, if you had anything else to add.
Yeah, I think from what we've seen, it sounds like one way that most standalone QA solutions and specialized QA solutions, I haven't seen that they offer the coaching aspect, which I think is extremely powerful. Klaus really offers some really key tools that you can really quickly drag in specific conversations, quotes, and scores from the analytics into specific agent training modules. And that's a really powerful tool that we don't see in other QA solutions. And then also, I think the language capability is vast within Klaus. I've just been super excited and impressed with and the spotlight tools. I think that Nicholas and Ross have shown today. It goes beyond just covering 100% of your conversations. I've seen every QA solution, sure, does that today. We get that, but I think Klaus I've seen takes it a whole nother level by, spotlight pinpointing what you need to review, pinpointing what really matters, and some of the other tools within it, I think, are extremely powerful.
Perfect. Thank you, Carlos and Ross. Let's move on to our next question. I do want to get as many in as we can before we run out of time today. And this one's for Lilith and Ross. What are some practical applications by brands that have real results from using Tymeshift and Klaus?
So I can jump in here first and just say that, and maybe for you as well, Ross, to make sure we can answer the most questions today, we're going to throw some resources in the chat so that everybody can kind of peruse how customers are using both of these tools. So we'll go ahead and throw some links in there so that you guys can dig in and we can also get some more questions answered, if that's all right.
Sounds great. Thanks for that, Lilith. Let's go ahead and move on to our next question. This one, again, is for you, Lilith. I used Tymeshift a couple years ago. What has changed since it was integrated into Zendesk?
This is a great question because a lot of things have changed. And as you've heard, a lot of things are continuing to change now that we are part of the Zendesk family. So I'll just touch on a couple. We have seen increased reporting, customization capabilities, and metrics. We've been focusing on a more seamless integration and user interface. So those are some big things you'll see that have changed. And we've also been able to enhance workstream configurations, which I know is a big deal for a lot of customers in the past and continues as well. So throughout the kind of user interface, you can now use work streams with activity reporting, dashboards, forecasts, schedules. So we've done a lot on that front, but as you know, we have more to come as well.
Perfect. Thanks, Lilith. Let's go on to our next question. And this one comes from Felipe. Carlos and Ross, this is for you. Do I need to use Tymeshift and Klaus if I want to have workforce management and QA tools within Zendesk?
I'll answer. The simple answer is no. And I'll share that. Tymeshift and Klaus have for years been top integration partners within the Zendesk marketplace. Plenty of Zendesk customers have used them for years. There are others available, certainly. But we have identified these solutions over the years as just top for what they do for workforce management and QA. The teams leading these companies have been phenomenal. They've been extremely successful over the years. Our customers rave about their performance. So, that's why we've combined forces over the last year with Tymeshift and Klaus. So we certainly are very confident that these are the best solutions today. And you can expect now moving forward, now that we are under one roof, we're sharing resources. We all have one large product organization together. You can expect that now Tymeshift and Klaus, the specialization within Zendesk, the integrations with Zendesk will only grow, and they'll grow faster now that we're sharing resources, have larger teams. So we definitely are very confident in the future for our WFM and QA solutions.
Thanks, Carlos. Ross, anything to add?
Nothing specific to add, but I think it's really exciting because little things like how can we use all that quality data that Klaus is building and use it to provide more insights to staffing and everything in Tymeshift. So I think we absolutely can support other vendors. The more we become integrated together, there's just more functionality that's going to exist that you necessarily wouldn't get if you had a multiple vendors within the workforce engagement management solution.
Perfect. Thanks, Ross. I do want to get to a couple more questions, so let's go ahead and move on to the next one. This one's for you, Victoria. This comes from Stephen. How can Tymeshift automate agent scheduling and reporting on agent schedule adherence?
Thanks, Devon. So I would go back to the demo as well and refer to the forecasting. So what we will do is we will understand historical volume and then recommend what the schedule should look like, right? So you do have the possibility of having a say, obviously, as what the agent should be doing throughout the day, or maybe blocking some of their time. But the forecast does have the ability of just understanding what your general working hours are, and then maybe some rules for lunches and breaks. And it will then generate the full schedule for you based on agent skills, volume, and so on. Now, the agent adherence piece will be basically relying on the agent activity throughout the day, right? So what they're doing, which tickets they were connecting with, if they went on lunch at the right time, if they went on breaks, and so on.
Awesome. Thanks, Victoria. Let's go and try to get a couple more questions in before we run out of time today. Lilith, this one's from you, from Karan, and she asks, for a seamless agent experience, how can we enable either of the applications to show the appropriate screen associated with the task that that agent needs to do based on the type of form?
Yeah, great question here. And it actually plays into a question we had in the live chat as well from you, Nicole. The agent experience is key. Some of us have been agents before. I have. So having everything in one place is important. And luckily, Zendesk does this really nicely. But with these other tools, we want to make sure that the experience is cohesive. So we weren't really able to dig in the demo. But one great thing about the WFM side is that everything the agent needs is right there inside of Zendesk. So they can see their schedule. They have time off management options. There are notifications that will pop up and say your schedule has changed or you have something else coming up soon. So all of these things let agents stay on track and more focused in a more cohesive way with the Zendesk experience as they're working through those tickets. So great question here. We definitely want to give our agents the best experience possible.
Awesome, Lilith. And we're actually going to be on our next question is our last question. So for anyone who submitted a question and didn't get an answer, we are going to be sending out a list of questions and answers that we have that we couldn't get or were able to get to in the time that we had today. So if you're like, wait, what about mine? Don't worry, there are more questions that are going to be in our post-event material. And for anyone who missed anything we covered today, we will again have a recording of everything we talked about today. But let's get to that last question of our event. This one's for you, Ross. And the question is, how easy is it to make changes to questions and weights?
Yeah, and I think there might have been a few questions around this. So it's super easy to build categories within Klaus, change the weights. There's a scale from a binary thumbs up, thumbs down, all the way up to 5-point scale. And you have full customization of those manual QA categories. From an auto QA standpoint, we've started building customization with a few of them. And then as the next couple months go on, we will be building more and more customization into all those auto QA categories.